This is a Talk2Jack podcast with UnkuJack, exploring topics on heart, mind, soul, and the human experience. Let's talk. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Talk2Jack podcast. I'm your host, UnkuJack, here with another episode. So, I have been thinking a lot about the last few years and some of the things that have happened. The last few years have been interesting. There was this little thing that happened called COVID. Ooh, that was a tough one. And we lost a few people along the way. People went through a lot of struggles. People were ill. People got sick. People got better. Some people didn't. It changed the way we saw the world around us, the way we were forced to interact with the world around us. It affected everything. I still experience myself people struggling with the aftermath. I had COVID a few times in the last couple of years, and it wasn't fun. It definitely wasn't fun, and that's even with precautions, right? So it really resonated with me about how quickly things could get turned on their head and how things could get turned upside down very easily. And you never see it coming. You just don't know that these things could happen. And no matter how prepared you think you are, no matter how much you plan, sometimes shit just happens. And then you get hit by a bus. And as you stand up thinking, oh my God, I'm okay, and then a train blows by and blows you off into a corner. And that's how this pandemic has kind of felt. It's been a wave after wave after wave of just one thing after the other. People who lost their jobs and people whose businesses just sank into oblivion in some cases. In other cases, people are still there, businesses are still there, but they're struggling every day. And certain buzzwords and keywords kept popping up. And one of the phrases that stood out to me, and it's been standing out to me a little bit more lately because some things are changing, is this phrase, the new normal. And it referred to the fact that life was never going to be the same after that pandemic, that the way we had to alter and shift the way we did things, how people had to adapt and evolve to survive, meant that in some cases and in some people's minds, this was going to be it forever. This was the way things were going to be now going forward. We were going to have this new lifestyle, this new way of living. Whatever adjustments we were forced to make was going to be the new thing. For me, one of the most difficult things was wearing that bloody mask. I hate the mask. I really do. And I know a lot of you probably do. Sanitizing everywhere all the time, learning how to make homemade sanitizer or homemade disinfectant so that you could be a little bit more organic and reduce chemical residue around your house and things, and all sorts of things that we did. And one of the big things was working from home, right? Delivery services got a boost and things like that. People got used to having stuff delivered instead of going out to get them and stuff like that. And there were so many ways that we were forced to adapt and evolve and change. And we did that so that we could survive. But then we also, in a lot of cases, started learning that there were new and more efficient ways maybe to get things done. Maybe people didn't always have to come into the office. Maybe we didn't always have to do a 2-hour commute to work and do an 8-hour shift at work and then another 2-hour commute back home, spending less time with family, spending less time resting, spending less time doing other things with our time. We figured out that video conferencing maybe was a way to do business. Maybe you didn't have to see someone face to face, physically in the room, shaking their hand to seal a deal. Maybe documents didn't need to be physically signed. We could electronically sign documents. And those things became the new normal. And it seemed like that was going to be the way of life going forward. And then something unique has happened in the last few months since the pandemic has tapered down. The new normal has become the old normal, and the new way is creeping back into the old way. And it's shocking. I thought that there was some progress made as far as efficiency goes in some cases. Yeah, I mean, we want to be able to see our loved ones. We want intimacy, physical contact, physical presence, being able to be with people and around people in a social context. We're social creatures, I believe, is important. But we also realized during this time that there were other ways to do other things as well, especially work. And one of the things I noticed the most, I live in Lagos, and in Lagos, the traffic situation is one of the worst situations probably anywhere in the world. It's horrible, at least in the top percentile. And one of the things that was a good thing when the lockdowns eased up was that there was less traffic on the road. So less traffic meant less smog and smoke in the air from carbon monoxide. It meant less yelling and screaming at other people in traffic. It meant less stress driving with tension, because it really is chaotic driving on these roads. It meant shorter travel times and distances, essentially, because a 2-hour journey now is 15-20 minutes, and because there's no traffic, and so on and so forth, right? I'm sure that accidents went down a bit and things like that. But then all of a sudden, the last couple of months, it's back. Everything's back. All the traffic, all the congestion, all the road rage, all the anger, all the horns and the speeding and the close checking and the vehicles and the fuel consumption, the carbon monoxide in the air. Everything's back. The new normal is gone, and we're back to old ways. And that got me thinking that, it's change is something that we all dread, not because it's bad, but because it's not known. There's a certain level of comfort to what you know, even if the thing that you know is not necessarily good for you. We see that a lot in relationships that are abusive and in work situations that are abusive, and people do not leave because they're scared of the unknown. What if I leave this and it's worse? At least I know what I'm dealing with here. But if I left, what if that's a worse situation? I know him. I know that some of the things that trigger him or her. I know some of the things that get them angry or riled up. I know my boss, yes, he's aggressive and toxic or whatever, but at least I know what he likes and what he doesn't like. And, it's not that bad. Yes, he keeps me late at work. Yes, I don't spend as much time with my family for no perceptible reason. But it's a job. I get my paycheck at the end of the month. If I left and I started my own business, what if business is slow? What if I don't have work? What would I do then? So we stay in that comfort of the known, even if it's a bad known. It's our normal, and it's familiar. And so when change comes knocking, we may test the waters. We may put a toe in and see is it cold? I still don't know if I want to jump in. We may start to work remotely more. We may consider the fact that our employees are spending so much more on traffic, on transportation, because there's a fuel crisis and everything's more expensive. and food is more expensive and everything's more expensive. And so if they're spending more money on transportation and fuel and all these things, they have less money to spend on food. And because the company is struggling, we can't exactly increase wages. So maybe what we can do is find a way to make people's commutes less troublesome. Maybe they can save some money that way. Maybe we can let them work remotely so they save some money on transportation and they can put that towards food or whatever, and it balances out. I don't know, maybe that's more efficient. And it sounded good when you had no choice. But the moment you were given that choice, you revert back to normal, even if normal isn't exactly best. And we do that a lot in our lives. I do it. I know I do it. I know a lot of us do it. We stay in situations, we revert back to situations that we know are harmful for us. Alcoholics deal with this a lot. The moment you're faced with some level of difficulty, your sobriety is in question. All of a sudden, you want to grab that bottle. You want to grab that drink because you remember the comfort that that drink makes you feel, even though you know that it's bad for you and that you act in a destructive manner when you do that. And we do that with everything. That you feel lonely all of a sudden, and even though you know that it's good for you right now to be alone and to deal with whatever it is that you need to deal with inside of yourself, but you feel alone right now in this moment, so you want to call that ex that was toxic and it was harmful for you. You want that comfort because it's convenient, it's comfortable, it's familiar, but it's not good for you. And inside you know it's not good for you, but it's comfortable, it's familiar, it's normal. Normal isn't always good. So, what am I saying today? I'm challenging you, I'm challenging all of us to think differently about what normal means to us. And if normal is good, if normal is where we should be, if normal is what will help us be the person we need to be, if normal will help us become who we need to become, if normal is helping us grow, or if normal is holding us back, is normal harming the people around us? Or is it helping the people around us? What is your normal? And is it good for you? Is it good for the people around you? That's the question today. And that's the question I'm going to end on. Food for thought. What is your normal? Is it good for you? And is it good for the people around you? That's my topic for today. Thank you for tuning in and listening to this podcast. I hope you'll like, share, and subscribe. And as always, be inspired. This has been the Talk2Jack podcast with UnkuJack. Tune in next time for another episode.